Good afternoon. My name is Brad Matteuzzi, and I will be presenting a proposal for conservation in Riley County. Conservation in Riley County. The problem. Despite Riley County's successes in conservation practices, now is not the time to become stagnant. Current programs are lacking, outdated, and potentially wasteful. If we remain on this course, we risk deterioration of public lands and the threat of a costly failure. Managing Riley County's public land requires a solution that provides sufficient habitat for wildlife but does not come at too steep a cost to taxpayers. Therefore, I believe that a successful solution to conservation must meet the following objectives: ensure the maximal use of public land, in place optimal conservation practices, provide sufficient habitat for wildlife, improve access to public land for hunters, and improve awareness of public land for use by hunters. In order to meet these objectives, I propose that the necessary funding be provided to the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism in order to improve upon conservation practices in Riley County. The advantage of providing additional funds to the KDWPT for conservation in Riley County is that practices would be optimized in order to provide better public land to Kansas residents and cut costs in the future from any current inefficiencies. With just $25,000, we would be able to bolster conservation practices, ensure cost efficiency, update practices, protect against costly program failures, all while improving the environment. The plan will be implemented in 4 major phases. Phase 1 will be a climate survey to gauge the current state of conservation practices in Riley County. In Phase 2, a new plan will be designed. In Phase 3, the plan will be implemented. And in Phase 4, the success of the new plan will be assessed. Phase 1. Analyzing the current situation. The KDWPT will begin by assessing the current status of conservation in Riley County. This will provide a basis of information needed for the planning of an improved program to better provide effective conservation practices. In this phase, it is important to obtain as much information as possible so that the best possible course of action can be determined. First, the KDWPT will interview any of its employees that have been tasked with conservation practices in Riley County in the past. This will provide a basic understanding of past conservation practices. Second, the KDWPT will interview the current game wardens assigned to various public lands in Riley County. This will provide first-hand insights from the management perspective. Third, voluntary surveys will be mailed to hunters in Riley County to answer various questions and provide additional comments on their experiences and opinions of the public lands. Additionally, surveys will be left in the information boxes of various plots for hunters to fill out after a visit. This will provide first-hand insights from the ultimate users of the public grounds, the taxpayer. In order to accrue adequate information, this phase will require 90 days to complete. Upon conclusion of this process, KDWPT will summarize the findings and deliver a report to the Kansas House Rep containing said summary as well as comments from the Commissioner about the findings and a preliminary plan. Phase 2. Designing the new plan. In the next phase, KDWPT will take the information collected from Phase 1 and design a new plan for conservation in Riley County. As stated in the objectives, this new plan will serve to ensure the maximal use of public land, in place optimal conservation practices, provide sufficient habitat for wildlife, improve access to public land for hunters, and improve awareness of public land for use by hunters. This plan will be largely based off of the information acquired in Phase 1 and will serve to provide the most benefits with the least costs. The plan's purpose is to cut unnecessary costs to avoid wasting tax dollars, provide new ideas to achieve conservation goals more efficiently, and add additional cost-efficient practices that can better provide a habitat for wildlife and a place for Kansans to hunt. Such practices might include improved roads, additional fields, better crop management plans, more efficient flooding practices of wetlands, additional public river access, a public shooting range, more walk-in hunting areas, measures combating water pollution, soil erosion, and poaching, and more. The KDWPT board will agree upon the decisions for what will ultimately be executed in the new plan. Regardless of the final decisions and fund allocation, the overall advantage is the improvement in spending efficiency and conservation practices, and improvements that can save money long term and additions that will provide more benefits to the taxpayers of Riley County. The planning phase should take no longer than 30 days, and upon completion, a finalized report will be delivered outlining and explaining the finished plan. Phase 3. Implementing the new plan. Upon finalization of the plan, projects will begin immediately, accounting for the organization of personnel and resources, of course. The methods of execution will be largely based on the research conclusions and subsequent discussions by the KDWPT board. Until the survey is completed, there is no way to describe an exact plan for usage of the allocated funds. To paint a picture, it can be assumed that such actions decided upon were to improve public river access, purchase new fields, and combat pollution. In order to execute said tasks, KDWPT will assign specialized task groups to each objective. For example, one group would be seeking good hunting land for sale in Riley County, or possibly leasing acreage from farmers to provide hunters access. Another group could be tasked with installing boat ramps at strategic points along the Kansas River, as well as roads and trails to reach them. Another group may be throwing it on their waders and cleaning up Riley County wetlands themselves. Regardless of the decided on projects, they will all be executed quickly and efficiently to provide maximum benefit without delay. Phase 4. Assessment of success. In order to assess the benefit provided by the new projects, KDWPT will initially inspect all projects to ensure that they have been completed satisfactorily. Reports will be collected from each task group in order to confirm that funds have been allocated efficiently and projects were completed with an emphasis on quality and cost effectiveness. With this information, an initial report will be devised and delivered to the Kansas House Representative. In the first year, assessments will be made quarterly, then biannually for the next 4 years. Each of these assessments will be passed to the Kansas Rep, and at the end of 5 years, a major assessment will be devised summarizing the effectiveness of the plan and whether or not another grant could be well used and beneficial at that point. When this plan is completed, Riley County conservation programs will have been buffered, and various aspects of conservation will be improved for the Kansas hunter. All of this will be done while remaining cost-effective and respectful of the hard-earned taxpayer dollar in order to provide the greatest benefits possible with the grant money. The Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism will be tasked with the plan's development and execution, so one may ask, why them? The KDWPT, with its broad expertise, is well suited to utilize grant money to its fullest potential in the field of conservation. The Secretary of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism is Rob Jennison, a Kansas State University graduate and a former Speaker of the Kansas House. Jennison spent 10 years as a legislator. He has not only hunted and fished his whole life, but he has professionally promoted hunting in Kansas and hosted an outdoors radio show. In summation, the man knows his hunting and fishing and has experience in the legislative field. He is supported by a 7-member Wildlife and Parks Commission, and this commission acts upon the goals and objectives of managing and promoting the wildlife and natural resources of Kansas. Management is supported by outdoors-minded conservationists. These individuals carry out the directives of the Secretary and the Commission with a passion for wildlife and the outdoors. The requested grant amount is just $25,000. With that small amount, the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism can make a serious impact on Riley County's public lands. The KDWPT can bolster existing programs, revamp programs that aren't meeting standards, and find where costs can be cut in order to save money going into the future. With just that small sum of money, so much can be done to positively impact Riley County. In summary, at just $25,000, this is a low-cost plan with a big impact in conservation for Riley County. It is low risk and high reward, reduces waste, and provides benefit for all. Lastly, it looks to the future to provide a lasting, positive impact on Riley County. Thank you for your time and consideration to support this proposal.